AITA for exposing a kid at my school for faking a Russian accent. New student transferred to our high school, he talks in a really strong Russian accent. As someone who speaks Russian, I'm from Turkmenistan but family immigrated to America. I was intrigued and started talking to him in Russian. However, I quickly realized that he didn't speak Russian and was faking the accent. He just laughed and responded in English and walked away. I didn't say anything because I thought it was just a harmless joke. But as the weeks went by, he continued to speak in the fake accent and even made up stories about life in Russia. I started to get really annoyed because what he said was obviously complete bullshit. I actually lived in Russia for a while. In study I overheard him talking to a group of girls and he's bragging about how he was the best at assembling AK-47s in school. We actually did that in Turkmenistan and Russian schools. That's not a stereotype, and a bunch of made up shit about Russia. When I asked him why he was pretending to be Russian, he got really defensive and said I was an asshole for calling him a liar, so I spoke to him in Russian and at first he was able to say a few words back in Russian but later he couldn't respond and told me in English to shut up and leave him alone, so I kept talking to him in Russian and told him in English to respond back in Russian or he's a big phony. He eventually yelled at me to leave him alone and left. I followed him and he said that he just wanted to fit in and thought it was cool. I told him that it wasn't cool to lie about who you are, and that it was disrespectful to people who actually come from Russia. He didn't take it well and ended up storming off. Eventually, word got around and he was exposed to the entire school. He was humiliated and stopped showing up to school. I got called into the principal's office and later counselor's office. They talked to me about bullying and said I was being a bully and I needed to write an apology letter and I refused, so they got really angry. They talked to my parents about this, who then threatened to sue them as one of my dad's close friend is a lawyer and threatened to sue the school for creating a hostile environment for immigrants and said he was mocking me since I am a Russian speaker, so the school dropped it. I even made fun of the principal to his face knowing he could do nothing about it. I did see him that day, only day that entire week he came to school and was only in the principal's office. He told me I was an asshole and it was just a social experiment and that I didn't need to cock-block him. He never showed up to school again and we saw on Facebook that he goes to another school in the area. Now, I'm starting to feel guilty about it. I don't know if I did the right thing by exposing him. On one hand, I feel like he deserved to be called out for lying. On the other hand, I wonder if I went too far and hurt him more than I intended. NTA. That's so bold of him to keep going after he already knew you were actually Russian, lol. Whether it's a social experiment or not, no it wasn't. He has to accept the consequences for faking an accent like that. Deciding to do something to mess with people and be cool isn't a social experiment. If it was an actual social experiment, perhaps he should have documentation of what the experiment is, what he's going to do, and what the motive is. If he doesn't have that, he's just being a weirdo. He wanted to fit in and thought faking a Russian accent was going to do that. Yeah, that's as BS as his claim that it was a social experiment. He wanted attention and to impress girls. Following him around after he said to leave him alone, definite harassment, and using the threat of a lawsuit to insult your principal without fear of punishment makes this ish. I didn't threaten the lawsuit, my parents did. I feel like if I was Asian or something and someone made a fake Asian accent, I meant like Chinese or Korean Asian, being from Turkmenistan I am Asian though to most people I look white or Middle Eastern, everyone would be reacting differently. I was fully on your side until you acted a fool in front of the principal because you thought you could. Was that kid a punk for doing the fake Russian accent? Yes. I don't think he was doing it to mock you or mock anybody else. I think he was trying to do it because he was the new kid at school, and he wanted to be different yet fit in. He probably never figured anybody would know Russian or the life there. You going after him about it? A bit much, but wait Evs, it was your way of life, so I get it. I think the school reacted appropriately to your behavior can be seen as bullying. I do think it was good that your parents stood up for you and put the school in their place with the forced apology. But where you became the AH was your attitude towards the principal.